Alright, episode 6, Too Many Tuna Sandwiches. So, Kaylee wants to get this review done in 3 minutes. So here we go. Harrison breaks somebody's arm. They find this girl.
No, not 3 minutes.
Not that fast?
No, not that fast. You can slow it down a little.
Yeah. Alright, so in this episode, we got Harrison, who is working on Dexter's car, scraping the snow off, trying to get on his good side, because Kurt told him, like, oh, you should make up with your dad, this and that. Mm-hmm. He tries, and then Dexter's like, oh no, I don't want you anywhere around Kurt, not signing this piece of paper, totally fucks it up with him. Harrison was acting pretty happy, acting pretty good. And then he does that, and it immediately turns him away. Now, Harrison isn't aware that Dexter's killed his son.
Right.
So he doesn't really realize why he doesn't want him around him. He just thinks he's pushing him away. And in this episode, they become more disconnected than they were before, which is pretty damn disconnected.
There's a big gulf between them, and it just got wider.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So Dexter is blowing it because Dexter is not a great father. And, you know, he's a serial killer psychopath.
Right.
Who isn't fit to be a parent. Maybe he was better off leaving her with Hannah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's a normal person. I don't think that he's really capable of having those normal relationships with people as much as he might like to and want to. I think definitely at this point in his life, like, he's too far gone. You know, maybe if he had had a different upbringing and wasn't taught to kill people, he would have a chance at that. But from this point, I mean, I don't really know if he has a way back to find his humanity. I mean, he's interesting as a character because he definitely has these moments of compassion and, you know, he has people that he cares about, and he's not like a full-blown narcissist, right? Like, he doesn't really use people, but he does, but in a sort of different way. Like, he doesn't try and hurt people by using them.
Yeah.
You know? Anyway, but I don't think he has the ability to be human like we would, you know, like we would know.
Like us normies.
Like normies, yeah. Not us, though.
Not me. I'm totally normal.
Are you sure?
Then we switch over to Kurt, speaking of, and he is trying to replace this girl from the last episode's face since he put a fucking bullet through her head.
Yes.
And he's trying to match it up perfectly. He's made her this little Phantom of the Opera mask that he's going to throw on her face and try to fix it for whatever fucking reason. I have no clue. He must be dressing these things up like dolls or something, or like curing them, or like he's like replacing, he's looking for like a replacement. And he keeps these things as trophies, or like the fact that he's like, you've ruined everything and this and that, and it's like her face is fucked up. Like, he shot the other girl in the back, it's fine.
Right.
Shoots her in the face, fucks her face up, and now he's pissed because he wants them to look normal. For whatever reason.
Has all of them, like the first girl, was she a brunette as well?
Yeah,
Have they all been brunettes?
Do they meet the same profile?
I don't really remember. I feel like she was a brunette. Just like light brown hair maybe. But yeah, they must, obviously the way they look is important to him. So, you know, what we were speculating.
This girl had like blue hair, right?
That's true. Actually, I forgot.
Yeah.
Although it looks dark-ish, too.
Her hair's like blue.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I'm going to assume
Never mind with
that Kurt has some connection with Iris, and something happened. I can only assume that this all links to Iris with Kurt. Kurt was in love with her or something. Maybe he got her killed and he can't get over it. Like, he took her down into those caves, and he protects those caves because he doesn't want anybody finding her body. He just, like, he thinks that, I'm sure Dexter's getting called in, right? I mean, I'm jumping ahead of here way big time, but I have to think that, yeah, I think this has to do with Iris. I mean, what else would this have to do with, right?
Yeah.
The other focus is on Iris. Kurt stops the search once they get to the caves. We thought he was hiding the bodies there, but him reconstructing the body does not suggest to me he's throwing them in caves.
Right.
That just doesn't make any sense to me. So he's keeping these bodies and preserving them in some way. Maybe he's like dressing them up around the fucking house and like playing make-believe relationship with them. I don't know, but for some reason he's trying to make this girl look normal so that she can be presentable, and he's not going to show them off to anybody else but him. So if it's presentable, it's got to be some kind of a live-in fucking, you know, trophy or stand-in girlfriend or whatever the hell, right? Because he's trying to replace love.
Sure.
Right? He goes to the bar, he puts on this specific song. It's probably the song him and Iris danced to before she died. And he's recreating something. Now, why he has to shoot them in the back as they're running away, I don't know. Maybe someone shot Iris and then he hid her body in the caves after, because she said this looks man-made.
Right.
Like, he put that there, or somebody did.
Yeah,
I'm just grasping at straws. I don't know. But
Well,
this is connected to Iris
Yeah.
and Kurt somehow.
I agree with you with that. I do think that there's a connection with Iris, and what that'll end up being, I can only imagine. But I don't know. I also am really curious about the millionaire that hasn't shown up in several episodes.
Where the fuck is that
like,
guy?
I was thinking about him during this episode, just like, where is he going to play into this? So
I don't know.
I don't know, but I feel like this episode definitely had a lot going on in it as far as like starting to unravel things and the mystery, which I was really into.
Yeah, so I was half right as far as Molly confronting Kurt and going out to his cabin and being one of his victims. We got halfway there. I figured that was going to happen. I thought for sure that one of them was going to get mauled by a bear when they went to the caves in this episode.
Yeah.
After that, I was like, oh, well, someone's going to probably die in this.
Yeah.
That didn't end up happening. So, yeah, I mean, well, do we want to jump ahead? Okay, let's not fucking steer off the notes yet. Hold on. But I was half right about that. But then Dexter saves the day.
Yeah.
Molly is told not to talk to Kurt. She completely ignores this and asks Dexter to keep it quiet, that she did. Kurt gives away hundreds of dollars to some random girl that's at the truck stop by his diner. And of course he's trying to lure her back to his place. And her boyfriend saves the day, and he's pissed off about this. So I don't know how many girls that he's done now, like he's killed, but with those missing posters, I'm going to assume
It's quite a few.
quite
Definitely
a few.
quite a few.
So where the fuck are those bodies?
Right.
And is he really keeping them like up in the main house?
It would be just wild if they find like 100
balls.
bodies, like preserved or whatever. But also, Angela confronting Dexter this episode was surprising and turned out kind of okay for him.
Well, I told you exactly what was going to happen with that once he confronted her. He was going to be like, I wanted to get away from my life. You know, we knew that was going to
And that's like a half truth, right? Like it is true.
Yeah.
I mean, he wanted to get away. So he gives her kind of an honest answer, and she's just like, no, fuck you. Like, this is all built on a lie. And I mean, it's understandable why she would be upset, but yeah, I definitely thought he was gonna be like a suspect when she confronted him. So the fact that, and I think it is because of her feelings towards him, that doesn't really play into it. Like, she doesn't really think of him as a murderer or anything yet, just that he is a liar.
No, definitely not. She wouldn't have called him in for forensics help if she thought that.
Right.
This actually, like, I'm making this help with the last season of Dexter because I don't like it so much. The fact that he drives this boat into the hurricane and ends up surviving it. I'm going to take what he said to be true. And I'll like that more, that he drove out that boat with the intention of dying.
Yeah.
You know, that he didn't just mean to like crash it out there and then swim back to shore. The fact that he like drives it out there right into the middle of the storm and then somehow survives and takes it as a sign of like, I should start over. I like that. I think that that's a better explanation than him just being like, oh, I'm just going to drive this out here, fake my own death, and then start over. Like, I guess that makes sense. It was always there for us, and maybe that's how that played out. I was so checked out by the end of that episode that maybe that is what's implied, that he's like, fuck it, I'm killing myself. We definitely thought he was dead, I think, like when we were originally watching it back in the day. And then he's like a lumberjack, and you're like, what the hell? But yeah, I think that this kind of fixes one of my issues, that he genuinely was like, I'm going to kill myself. I don't want to live anymore. This is why I gave Harrison off. Because that also fixes a little bit of my issue. Now, if he comes back, he should meet up with Hannah maybe. But at that point, he's like, you know, maybe he is better off without me. I screw everything up. Right? Yeah. I'm just trying to make that last season not so terrible.
I get it. I think his explanation helps definitely in some ways. So.
So we got Molly, who is she does a podcast on the Bay Harbor Butcher, which we already knew about, but Dexter finds out about this, and Molly's asking all these questions and has, you know, these theories that Dokes was definitely not the killer, and that she's going to look further into this, which is why Dexter's following her around, not even really concerning himself as much with Kurt, and this is when he stumbles on to what ends up happening. The therapist in this episode quotes one of my favorite movies, Magnolia. A little shout out there to Magnolia. Love to hear that. The therapy session goes horribly wrong.
So bad. He just is so, like, he can do a better job at pretending to. Like, I feel like in that scene specifically, he just, I mean, he's rusty, right? But, like, he really just isn't convincing at all. Like, he comes across as somebody who's hiding something and, like, very nonchalant about the murder of his wife. Which, obviously, Harrison addresses by telling him that he feels abandoned on the couch, which absolutely he would. You know, that would be the one thing that they should have to try and bond over, you know, to make Harrison feel more loved, is like, you know, my mom died, your wife died in a brutal way. Like, can we connect on that? But obviously that doesn't happen.
I feel like the therapy is kind of like Dexter's Achilles heel, right? Like, he's this guy without really many emotions, and he can only fake it so much. And in a setting like that, this is where his truth kind of shines through, no matter how hard he tries to reject it. So I think he was just kind of setting himself up for failure there, but I agree with you. I feel like he should have tried a little harder than like, oh, I'm past it now, and I'm moving where, and he's just like, what the fuck, and like, oh, our marriage just kind of fell apart. It's
right.
Like, she was murdered, man.
Yeah, it's a huge thing to not address, and he actually did a pretty good job, in my opinion, when he was talking to Angela about kind of, you know, building up those emotions, and it was really only at the end when he was like, well, you keep my secret, that it was a little shaky. So
I think he had the time to think about it in the car on the way over,
right?
And then with Harrison, it was more on the spot.
Yeah.
But you're right. He's able to pull out a good emotional thing there, but not later for his son. So I'll just chalk that up to, you know, time constraints. Okay. And so Angela does some pretty good police work here in the sense that she figures out that Kurt wants them to stop looking. Why would he be lying? Once the search gets around the caves, the Clark Caves, and so she enlists the help of one of the deputies there, and they go out. And as I said, I thought they were going to get mauled by that bear, but that bear makes no appearance, and it's winter, so it would still be in there somewhere.
Maybe next
episode. And then we've got Harrison creepily sneaking into Audrey's room, which is rewarded with sexual intercourse. Or at least we think. I mean, who knows? I would assume.
Yes.
They're in bed naked. They could have went down on each other. Or...
That's still sex. Oh, you said sexual intercourse?
Yeah, intercourse.
Whatever. They had sex.
Yeah.
They definitely had sex. Yeah, you shouldn't sneak into girls' rooms like that.
No.
Especially
with black gloves.
Oh my gosh.
Unannounced.
And with a knife. He brings a knife.
He does.
As
it's
well.
In the back, it's in his back pocket.
when
It's
he
the
starts
fucking. It's the.
the big one, the big boy, the
The
switchblade,
No, not the switchblade. The one shave, the razor. What do they call that?
straight razor.
Straight razor. Yeah, it's the straight razor.
But
Which
they
is interesting. But they draw no attention to it, so that was a
No.
good catch on your part, seeing it in his back pocket when they're kissing.
but they have a good talk about abandonment and all of that and being outsiders together. Although, she's fairly different than he is in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
But I think he's definitely desperate to feel connection with anybody because he's especially not getting it from Dexter, who is the person he wants it most from.
Yeah.
And Kurt in this episode is definitely trying to step up to the the role of another father figure for him, and I think Harrison's really starved for it, so that's why he's so defensive of Kurt and doesn't agree with Dexter's dislike of him.
Sure, he's starting to see him as like a replacement father
Yeah.
figure, right? And Harrison also, conveys or confides, I'm sorry, in Audrey that he really enjoys, or not, I shouldn't say enjoys. He
Often
keeps thinking
yeah.
about hurting people all the time. To which she tries to think she understands what he means,
Yeah.
but she doesn't.
No.
But she sure as hell thinks she does, and I understand why she would think that.
Yeah.
But she doesn't understand to what level he's referring
Right.
to. Now,
She's-
what he did to that guy that touched him when he was sleeping, I don't know.
Right. Did he kill him?
Yeah, what did he do to that guy? And
Yeah.
I'm still super on the fence of Hannah McKay's
Yeah.
cancer. I'm
Yeah.
so not bought into that at this point. Until I see her dead ass body,
Yeah.
or her grave at least. Even then, but yeah, I'll take that. But is she dead? Is she dead? Maybe she's the one that tried to touch him on the bench, and he's just like,
Maybe.
no, I don't know. But yeah, I get it though. I definitely, when you're angry and you're a kid, you definitely feel like fuck everybody. Like I just want to smash everyone's face. I hate everyone. Everybody's out to get me. Again, she's taking it that way, and that makes perfect sense. But he means it a little bit more violently. He
Yes.
means it with genuine intent,
Right.
and she doesn't understand that.
No.
But anyway, so yeah, pro tip, don't sneak into girls' fucking rooms quietly without making any announcement of any sort, not even like knocking on her window lightly.
Throwing some rocks.
I don't know, maybe texting her before you
Oh yeah,
come
like
over.
hey, I want to come talk.
Yeah,
And
is it
she's like,
okay if I
"No."
come through your fucking window? Don't just show up like in Clarissa Explains It All. You've probably never seen that show, but yeah.
Just
You can
don't.
just come up through a girl's window unannounced. And she pulls out nunchucks on him.
Yeah.
Which is, okay.
I mean, it's good. She's
Yeah,
really gonna
she's
defend
ready
herself.
to fucking
Yeah.
go to war
Of
there.
course.
Good for her, but instead she ends up banging him. So there you
Yeah.
go.
There you go.
And then they are caught in bed together, and he's kind of chased out of there with a ride. She takes it fairly well. I don't know how old they are. I'm gonna assume
They're old enough to be doing that type of thing.
17.
And yeah, they
Ish.
seem like they're about 17, 16. So
Yeah, but I
you
mean,
know,
parents are
it's-
gonna be like, "What the fuck?"
of course, she does take it fairly well. She's just
Yeah.
like, get out, like get in the car. I'm driving you home.
Yeah,
Which is good. And then she tells Dexter to handle it, to deal with it.
which
so-
she does a piss poor job at.
Yes.
Because he's not a good father.
No, he's not. He really isn't.
Yes. Then Dexter follows Molly over to, or Molly and Kurt, or is he following Molly or Kurt?
He's following Molly.
Whichever, it doesn't matter.
But he ends
They-
up finding them at
yes.
the diner.
And he puts his phone down and records,
Yes.
and he gets the clearest audio recording of them.
Just their voices.
Of just their voices. None of the chatter in the diner. No audio distortion from the
No.
distance they are.
No.
Nothing. Perfect. I have audio issues all the fucking time on this channel. When I try to like make every precaution and everything's quiet in here, I shut everything down. I still have audio issues. Dexter just throws his fucking phone on a counter. It's just
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, that's the fantasy of TV shows.
Nobody wants to hear all the distortion and all
No,
that shit,
no,
right? They
of
want to hear the
course
clear
not.
audio.
Of course not. It would be very frustrating to have a super distorted, like, unless this was like a found footage thing and you're like, I need to like
Make
really
it
work to
seem-
hear it. Yeah,
yeah.
but this, it's fine. That's just like a thing that we laughed about
Yes.
because it's unbelievable.
Molly, the podcaster who does a true crime show, decides to get in a fucking truck with a potential suspect of something and drive out to the middle of nowhere with him and go down into a basement with him.
Yeah.
Hey.
She's like, and then after, she's like, I almost became a victim from one of my episodes.
She just very determined, right?
Yeah,
She's like,
she
she's
is.
putting herself on the line
Right.
because she's obsessive with her work
Mm-hmm.
and she kind of gives herself shit of like, I can't believe I put myself in that situation. And I think it kind of gives her some insight to these victims she always talks about of like, you know, as that outside, you know, viewer or, you know, person, you can always make this claim like, oh, I'd never do that.
Sure.
Right? But there's always some kind of lure that can get you to let your guard down. And here's her. She's obsessive with this case, and she puts herself in a very insane predicament. Mm-hmm. And when Dexter opened up that fucking door, that was surprising.
Yeah, I definitely did not think he was going to go down there right away. I thought he was going to be slinking outside, waiting for Kurt to leave or something, and, you know, kind of go about it that way. But I'm glad that he just kind of, you know, because he takes Kurt by surprise as well. It's
Sure.
so unexpected. And to be fair, to her credit, Molly did have Mace with her, at least, so she wasn't totally unprepared. But obviously, you know, she's a tiny lady and could definitely be overpowered. But yeah, I loved that entire scene though with Dexter, just running in and being like, "Oh, like let's check the room. Like we came all this way," and he just bursts in, and then he's, you know, looking in the bathroom, and then of course at the end when he's like, "Want me to close the door?"
Yeah.
Just like these little like digs at him,
Right.
Where
like
he's
a
like,
wink.
I know
what's going on.
what's happening. Yeah.
I just wonder why Dexter went down there in the first place and what Dexter thinks is happening with Kurt. Like, he knows Kurt's lying about his son.
Mm-hmm.
He does not know he's murdering people. He doesn't really know much about him. But now he's starting to figure that out, right? Now that he's seen this room with the camera. We got a good look at the camera this time. It does look like one of 3 lights. It doesn't have a light, so it would look like it was out and with the red light on. Why the red light would be on in that moment, why it would be recording an empty room,
Right.
makes almost no sense.
Well-
It's there for convenience so that Dexter could see it. But the red light on is weird to me.
I think it's also, I mean, if Kurt was planning on bringing her back there, maybe he turned it on before he left because he likes to have the footage of them going in together. So I think that's a possible explanation.
I'll go
for
with
it.
that.
But I think that Dexter, I mean, up until that point, even though he hears the audio of them talking about his son, I still think he's suspicious at that point that they're gonna, you know, that she's gonna uncover something about him, about Dexter, right? So I kind of think that's why he ends up following her down there, and then, you know, obviously he knows that that's not, you know, it's off grid, it's a very sketchy situation,
Right.
so I think he just is distrustful and, you know, wants to go help her.
Well, Molly's outside of the code, right? So
Right.
Dexter is in that place where if she finds him out, he's kind of fucked. He just has to run.
Right.
He can't retaliate against her. That would go against everything he believes in, right? He's the vigilante. He's the guy who takes out the bad people, not the good people. Molly's never done anything wrong. So her investigating him isn't a crime. And I think that, I think he got in that situation and he is Dexter as usual. It's like, you know, if anyone an innocent is in peril, he's going to come to their rescue. And I think that once he saw there's no power lines, this is off grid, what the fuck is this guy doing? He's taking her into the basement. This can't be good. Mm-hmm. He went there to save her. I mean, he went there to investigate further, you know, to kind of catch them off guard. I feel like if Dexter would have waited right outside the door and just listened, he would have heard Kurt attack her, then Dexter would have had, full, autonomy there to do whatever the fuck he wanted to Kurt, and Molly would have been like...
Well, not really, though. I mean, he
Why
could
not?
have... Because, like, Dexter, the way he kills people, he likes to be...
Yeah, but he can
very
play it just like a
ritualist.
regular
He could, but-
guy just coming in and just beating the shit out of him and killing him, like, just to protect her.
Sure, I mean, like, yeah, he could play it like that,
He
but
would.
I think...
Why would he not?
No, he would.
He's not going to duct tape him.
If that happened. But that's what I mean, though. In this scenario, he now has the hunt of, like, going after him
Sure.
and being able to tie him up and everything and kind of, do his whole thing, which is, ultimately, I think what he enjoys. It's, like, he likes killing people, but he likes to do his ritual with it,
Yeah.
And
I don't...
Molly would have been, like, okay with him, like, like, shooting him or attacking him and, like, killing, but not, like, brutalizing him, of course, and... Yeah.
I don't think Dexter, like, should have waited there. I'm saying if he would have, he would have heard. And I don't think he would have. Nor do I think he wanted to. Like, he went down there to do what he wanted to do. It's fine. I'm just saying if he did sit there...
Yes, he would have.
He would have, because Kurt would have definitely attacked her. I think that she would have maced him first, or pepper sprayed him. And that would have been that. But, of course, we need this show to continue. There's 4 more episodes, and Kurt's going to last up until the last episode, I'm sure. And then we got the wrestling match where Harrison, as I expected, as soon as the thing started, I was like, he's going to pull some really fucking crazy shit in front of everybody, which he very much does. Breaks this kid's arm. That whole school would be on his ass for that.
Oh my gosh.
Like, he'd be
everyone.
expelled.
Yes.
Like, he clearly, the guy had tapped. He clearly pushed down on his arm specifically to break it.
Yes.
Like, if he's not expelled from school in the next episode, I call bullshit.
Yeah, he definitely would have consequences to that. For
Big
sure.
time.
Yes.
And Kurt comes and gives him a big old papa hug. I'm proud of you for breaking that kid's arm.
Yeah.
And Dexter lashes out at Kurt, pushes him around. This, of course, just expands the divide between Harrison and Dexter. And, Iris is located. And we get the phone call from Angela.
Asking for Dexter Morgan's help.
Yeah,
His
so you're going to get to
forensic
see
expertise.
forensics. We kind of got to see it in the post-stabbing episode.
Right.
Him coming out and figuring out that it didn't go down how Harrison said, but now he's going to come out to this area. So if Dexter's coming out is a blood splatter analysis investigator, I don't know what she knows of his career,
Sure.
but this happened a while ago. I don't know where much blood would be, but we'll see what his, breakdown of the crime scene is like once he gets there. But it's good that, she's like, I don't need this guy right now. Like, I don't want my boyfriend. I don't want any of that shit. I just want this forensics investigator. And this is what's going to lead him. I think Dexter will play it like he usually does. He'll lead them away from what he really finds out.
Right.
And then he'll figure it out. It's Kurt. He'll tell
Yes.
them, I'm not really seeing anything here. Maybe it's this. And then he'll go out and confront Kurt himself.
Yes. That is, I think, exactly what will happen.
So, what they'll find out, what he'll see, as I said, I think she was covered by those rocks. He'll figure out a different way of death, maybe a gunshot wound that would match something like he's trying to recreate with these girls, or maybe it was a cave-in, and then he hid the body, but I don't think so. I think he took her in there.
Yeah. Gunshot wound is likely to be found, and if she's killed in there, or if either way, there might be blood stains on the rock potentially.
Yeah, sure.
So,
And he's not just that. I mean, he
No,
did
no, I
most
know.
forensics anyways.
yeah, I'm excited for it though. I really love the his blood splatter analysis of the stabbing of Harrison's friend. So I think this will be really cool to see him kind of in full swing again.
And this is also This is Angela kind of in hysterics to a degree that she would call Dexter Morgan in to help her because, of course, that's not procedure.
No.
Right? She should cordon off the area. She should call in a legit forensics team from the big city. And she should wait until they come so that they can investigate it thoroughly together legally. But she's not. She's kind of going rogue on this one. She's enlisting the help of someone she barely trusts at this point because she wants to expedite the answers because it's Iris, because it's her friend who went missing so long ago, and she needs answers right now. She can't wait for some big city dick to come out in a month or something.
Sure, yeah.
She's also trying to figure out why these people are missing. She's got too much going on, and she's like, hey, look, I got a forensics guy right here. He fucking owes me.
Right. I'm going to be able to look at it right away.
He wants me to keep his secret. Well, he's going to have to do this for me. And he's going to have to hide my secret. So, little tit for tat. Little quid pro quo.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, I think Dexter will lie about it. He will figure out that it's Kurt. We'll get kind of a breakdown. Dexter does his whole analysis. And we'll see that Kurt had some responsibility there. He'll figure that out. And then his main focus will be Kurt. And Kurt will be, of course, connecting his bond deeper with Harrison, who's going to run right to him after this.
Yes.
Whatever this job is that he took from him, watching his trucks or something, like he's gonna, they're gonna connect even more.
Bad way.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I could see Harrison, going to the dark side, and Dexter having to figure out what's he gonna do about it.
Yeah.
Like, my kid is now. And I said this before, I think this would be super interesting for Dexter to wrestle with this whole, pun intended, this whole idea that his son meets the profile, meets the criteria of someone he would normally take out, and him just kind of trying to grapple with that whole idea.
Yeah.
So
I thought that as well, and I think that'll be a really just compelling part to watch if he has to make that decision of, do I need to kill my son? But it is New Blood, so maybe he won't be bad. Maybe he'll just have a hard time and then get better.
Sure. I mean, I could definitely see Harrison, like, killing Kurt in the end.
Yeah.
Like, I'm on his side. No. And then he realizes, like, Kurt does something so terrible. He's like, what the fuck are you doing? Maybe he kills, like, his girlfriend or something, right? So he kills Audrey with a D, right? Yeah. He kills Audrey, and then that's too far for him, and he's just like, no, turns on him. I don't know. This is way ahead of ourselves. And then Hannah McKay shows up at the very last moment of this last episode.
And it's like, I'm not dead.
Yeah. Prelude to season 2.
Yeah.
Prelude. That's right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, okay. All right, guys. What do you guys think? What do you think of the episode? And what are your guesses for what happens next? Bye.